Being compliant is just straightforward. Being maliciously compliant? Well, that's another story. Welcome to this episode of Malicious Compliance. Our first one is from NegativeNet4416. I once spent quite a long time fixing a computer for a new client. After the PC had crashed, the old hard drive failed completely. Fortunately, the customer had a basic file backup from perhaps a year or two ago, so we got most of the files back. However, I had very little info to go on. I didn't know the original version of Windows, no idea what apps they used, or what email client they used. I was met by repeated, "I don't know," and "It didn't look like that before." I continued to be patient, calm, and understanding, bringing up images on the internet to see if any start menus or apps looked familiar. In the end, I installed the latest and greatest of everything. I got it looking really good, easy to use, and all of their apps on the start menu. They started getting pretty moody when we had spent half an hour trying to recover the forgotten email password. Apparently, the security question wasn't something they'd have ever known. The partial recovery phone number wasn't theirs. Until, yes, it was their landline. Then they find the password in their book, even though, "That's not the one I use for my email." Except it is. Finally, I've invested enough time on this. I've asked all the questions and squeezed out a few answers. The computer is all good. However, I get several calls over the next couple days, asking where some obscure apps have gone. Why did I remove them? Why have I not installed the dodgy cleanup utility they paid for? Why have I deleted the email contacts? They meant autofill, which obviously was empty. Where are the browser passwords? I go back and get a lecture on how it's not good enough. They've been invoiced good money for the computer to be fixed, and frankly, it's not fixed. They just want it back the way it was. To be honest, I'd really undercharged for my time anyway. Maybe 2 hours instead of the actual 5 to 6 invested, because no matter how hard I tried, it was never going to be a job they were completely happy with. Being younger and less experienced, I'd missed some potential red flags. The customer was slightly outside my usual area. They should have been able to find several technicians closer to them. The first phone call had been out of hours. They had been a bit difficult and uncooperative from the start. They had almost expected the job to not be good enough, and during the small talk, they'd already complained about their plumber and how many times they'd had to find a new cleaner for their home because they've been let down several times. They hadn't yet paid the invoice. Get it back the way it was. The client popped out of the room for a couple of minutes, and I was so fed up by this point. I took the side off the case, removed the new drive, and reconnected the broken one, still in the case. I picked up my tool bag and met the client in the hallway. All sorted, it's back exactly as it was before. And don't worry, I'll cancel the invoice so there's nothing to pay. I made a dash for it. I have no idea what happened next. I ignored a few missed calls and then blocked the number. I thought about how I'd reply to any kind of email or online review, but I heard no more. I like to think that they got someone far less patient, more expensive, and got a worse result. This is one of those situations where you better pick your words wisely, because if you're gonna sit there and say you want something back the way it was, which was broken, you best believe you might actually get it. Absolutely A+ compliance. This next one is by Really Fucking Tired. I work remotely for a small company, 100 employees, and based on my contract, I have to return to the office for a week 4 times a year. The last time I went back was in November. In the contract, it's laid out that my employer pays 100% of hotel and gas and airfare. Normally, this is an extremely uneventful routine. It's a mid-sized, Midwestern city with not much to do. It is what it is. A few months before I went back up, we had our financial audit, and one thing that was pointed out to our accounting department was the lack of controls on purchasing. The way it used to be was every manager and supervisor had a company credit card with a $1,500 balance, and as long as we stayed under that limit, we didn't have to do any kind of purchase orders. After our audit, my accounting team decided to make purchase orders 100% of their focus. Going forward, it doesn't matter what it is, what the situation was. If you didn't have an approved purchase order, you could not make the transaction. All this happened in early October, as I was trying to book my hotel for my on-site week in November. Normally, I have freedom in choosing when I go on site, but I was requested to go that specific week by my CEO and CFO, as we were launching some strategic planning and they wanted me on site. So I put the purchase order in for the hotel, and I don't hear anything back. I forget about it for a couple weeks, then remembered mid-October that I still don't have a hotel room booked. When I initially made the request, it was about $550 for 4 nights. Looking again in mid-October, it was now up to $700 for 4 nights. I look around and notice the same week I'm supposed to go up there, there's a concert in the city, followed by a big college sporting event in that town. I send an email to my accounting folks that I need to book a hotel, rates are going up, room availability is going down, yada yada yada. I get a tersely worded email back saying that everyone has different priorities, and my purchase order will be addressed once all the ones before it are done. So I sit back and wait, and keep checking every other day, and keep seeing prices going up. I send a weekly email asking if it's approved yet, and I keep getting absolute silence back. Finally, a week before, I email my accounting team with the CFO included saying if I don't book a room that day, there wouldn't be any left, and I wouldn't be able to make it up for the strategic planning work. About 30 minutes later, I get an email back saying word for word, "You are authorized to reserve a hotel room for 4 nights. Cool, I booked it. That $550 room is now $1,200. I book it and move on with my life. I don't think anything of it. Last week, I got around to uploading my credit card receipts and submitted my expense report, which included that $1,200 hotel stay. I got a call from my CFO today, just exploding on me. Furious about where the hell did I stay that cost that much, and what was I thinking? I was very calm and just forwarded the original purchase order and all the emails I sent saying that prices were rising. I had dead silence on the phone as he read through the email chains and just said, "For fuck's sake," then hung up. At the end of the day, all supervisors got an email that the purchase order system was being shut down until they could figure out how to manage it better. Having that paper trail in the email chain definitely saved OP because honestly I feel like the supervisors would have tried to lie or something like that, but it's absolutely asinine that if you're getting emails like that, you just keep putting it off. It's just gonna cost more in the end. And our final one is from Watch Out for Possums. I think this qualifies as malicious compliance, as one person being inflexible with the letter of a policy led by the other person to comply with said policy and pursue its options in a way that brought about change that aligned with the spirit of what was asked for in the first place. My parents had a house fire recently, no fault of theirs, and while the house didn't burn to the ground, this is important for later, it is basically a total loss due to heat, smoke, and structural damage. They have a great replacement insurance. While the long wait for restoration and replacement will be frustrating, they are in as good of a situation as one could hope for. They also have one of those appliance service plans where they pay monthly. If any covered appliance isn't working properly, the service company will send out someone to troubleshoot, repair, and if it can't be repaired, replace it. My parents have the total coverage plan including everything from kitchen to laundry to the freezer chest and mudroom fridge. Since the house is uninhabitable, they called to cancel the service and ask about prorating this month. My mom explains the situation and the rep on the phone says, sorry, they can't prorate this month, nor can they cancel the service for the next payment cycle, even though they're in the middle of this payment cycle. Basically, it will be 45 more days of paying for coverage. My mom states that they are dealing with the stress of a house fire and living in short-term housing. I understand you can't prorate this month, but can you at least cancel the service for the next month based on our situation? The rep says,
Well, I'm happy to cancel the service effective today if that's what you really want, but you'll still have to pay for this month and next month.
I can tell you from personal experience, it's a bad idea to get cute with my mom. My mom says, okay, no, we aren't going to cancel a service we still have to pay for. Please keep the service in place. Instead, I'd like to file a claim on all of our appliances. There's a pause and the rep says,
You can't do that on appliances destroyed by fire.
my mom says, oh no, the house was damaged, but the appliances weren't destroyed. Since this plan is effective through next month, please start a claim to send a service rep out to our house for all of our covered appliances and do any repairs or replacements as needed. There's another pause, and the rep asks her to hold. A few minutes later, a supervisor gets on the line and says that due to circumstances, they are happy to make an exception to cancel coverage early if she would like. Yes, thank you. For anyone thinking my parents should have seen the malicious compliance through to the end, they got what they initially asked for, and to do so would have foregone personal benefit for spite since the appliances will be covered by home insurance anyway. I mean, yeah, if the company is going to pretty much hold you hostage for an additional month, then why not try to play that card and basically get them to have to shell out a shitload of money, thus making them want to actually cut you loose. Beautifully done. Alright, that's enough maliciousness for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Malicious Compliance. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.